How to find this information. Jehovah's Witnesses officer sexually assaults teenager. They were lovers. Appeals. November 1, 2024. Going around the church and denying all sexual crimes. Seoul. News FIM. Reporter Shin Su-yong. A 50-year-old executive of the religious group Jehovah's Witnesses, a conscientious objector to military service, committed sexual crimes against minors and others while visiting churches. According to a News FIM report on the 1st, Mr. Park, 50, a Jehovah's Witness executive who was convicted of sexually assaulting a minor and a believer, appealed the verdict. The victims are now in a position where they have to fight for nearly 10 years. One of the victims was a 16-year-old high school student at the time of the incident. Mr. Park is denying all the crimes, claiming that he was in a romantic relationship with the victim, and is using a large law firm to defend him. No efforts to recover damages. Victims suffer legal battles. Western District Court. Elder Park, a Jehovah's Witness who was arrested and indicted on charges of forced molestation and violation of the Act on the Protection of Children and Youth from Sexual Abuse, Harassment by Hierarchy, etc., appealed the verdict on the 28th. An appeal means requesting a retrial from a higher court rather than following a lower court's decision. Earlier, on the 25th, the 11th Criminal Division of the Seoul Western District Court, presiding Judge Su-yong, sentenced Mr. Park to 4 years in prison and detained him in court. This was because he was at risk of fleeing. The court also ordered him to complete a 40-hour sexual violence treatment program and restricted him from working at child and youth-related institutions and welfare facilities for the disabled for 5 years. Jehovah's Witness Elder Park is accused of sexually assaulting a follower, several times in 2015. The church did not take any special measures other than stripping him of his elder status. So Mr. Park moved to different churches and committed crimes. The victim, Ms. B., who was 16 years old, was a high school student. Ms. B. stated that she had never felt romantic feelings for Mr. Park. At the time, Mr. Park was married and 46 years old. The court said the victim gave specific and consistent statements about the damage she suffered, and there were no irrational or contradictory parts in the victim's statements. He then explained the reason for the sentencing, saying, "The victim's statement contains such clear and specific details that it could not have been stated without experiencing it firsthand." Jehovah's Witness Shish. When the victim reported the religious group, it was used as evidence of innocence in court. Jehovah's Witnesses denied the sexual crime. Jehovah's Witnesses responded,
"We didn't know the incident had occurred because the victim didn't tell us.
And
it's the domain of the judicial authorities."
In fact, the victim raised the issue with the religious group, but Mr. Park presented this in court as evidence to prove his innocence. Mr. Park's attorney argued for his innocence, claiming that the statement submitted by the victim when she accused him within the religious group was inconsistent with the statement, and therefore lacked credibility. Jehovah's Witnesses changed their story. A Jehovah's Witnesses official explained,
"After the victim raised the issue, Mr. Park was immediately removed from the elders."
When asked to disclose documents excluding personal information regarding the victim's reports within the church and the follow-up measures and countermeasures, he said,
"Internal documents are confidential, so it is difficult to confirm.
And
I would like to express my deepest condolences to the victims and their families."
The court ruled that he used his religious position to exploit the victims as a means to satisfy his sexual desires, and that Mr. Park did not make any efforts to restore the damages, and the victims asked for the defendant to be severely punished. In August, the victims filed a petition for severe punishment.